Hello and welcome back to the True Crime Guys podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Michael.
What's up? How we doing?
Ooh, coming back at you with another freebie. Hope y'all are ready for this one. A case suggestion from a listener, which I'm going to look up. Lauren, if you want to talk about it, and I can find who that
I was
is
hoping you had that because I didn't.
I do have it.
Very good case suggestion. Whoever it is, we're going to find out soon. But this case, we got an NBA player murdered. Greed is involved, of course. This case,
Yes.
A lot of things reminded me of our lottery winner series. You know, mo money, mo problems type of thing, where this dude made, I want to say it was $54 million or something along those lines over the course of his long career in the NBA. Ran through a lot of that money with his wife and then went missing and was found murdered. And it's a good whodunit case for you.
You see this often in young athletes too, man, that come from lower income areas and then they get all this money and they're not guided. They have no guidance. No one's helping them. They're just like, hey, good luck. Now that you're a millionaire, hope you invest it well. Good luck.
It's gotten better over time because a lot of former athletes, a lot of retired athletes that were very successsul in pro sports have come out and they're doing conferences and stuff for rookies that go into either the NFL or the NBA and stuff. They do these big conferences with them and basically warn them about what's coming. You know, you're about to become an instant millionaire.
Exactly.
And you need to manage it and make it last because the average career, let's say in the NFL, is only like 3 years, and in the NBA maybe a little longer. But if you're not at the top, you know, it could be a few years and you're done. You could just be a role player and you could be out, and you better make that few years of money last for the rest of your life.
That's right. And it can, but it's very difficult. I mean, especially when everyone around you is living luxurious. You know, they're living these lavish lifestyles, and you want to keep up. You know what I'm saying? It's
well, even more than that.
Too.
If everyone else is living lavish, but then all the people you grew up with aren't, and they want some of yours, they want to be around you, they want to spend your money with you. That's also another part of it.
Right.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah. And he was very generous with his money as well. But I want to.
Then when you have a wife. When you have a wife who loves to spend money, you can see how that could be a problem too. And this case is an example of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to give a huge thank you and a shout out to No Sucka Shit on Instagram.
What? No Sucka Shit? No
Sucka Shit.
All right.
Yeah, man. He is giving me some good case suggestions, and this one just hit just right. This Lorenzen case, Lorenzen Wright. Great case for us, fit all the criteria. So, we appreciate you, man, on Instagram.
This case is not no sucka shit. Let's just say
no. This is no sucka shit. This is a good one.
I sounded so white saying that.
And it's so current, too. You know, like up now.
Definitely.
Like with the new information that come out, because if you watch old documentaries on this, there was a documentary made in like 2015 by Sports Illustrated, and it's so far behind. There's so much more that has come out in the last 5 years.
A lot happened in 2017.
Yes.
And then there's been some, there's a special, 2020 special we'll talk about, which we used as a study source, which I think just came out this year, right? Just recently,
yes, it
September?
did. Yes, it did. I mean, it's all the way up until like COVID hit in the fall. So that's how current this is. I know COVID hit in the spring. I'm just saying it was all the way up to the fall of 2020 is how current this last documentary is. So this case is still ongoing as well. So.
All right, let's get into it.
Hi, Georgetown 911, where's your emergency? Hello? Hello?
I have nothing but gunshot.
Hello? Hello?
They call him Mr. Tell Me Anything. When she saw him, all she saw was a wedding ring. When she makes decisions, they always life-altering. Cause she loved Mr. Tell Me Anything. They call her Miss Tell Me Not a Thing. She will gladly accept all your offerings of cash and joy and hope you bring. Play the perfect queen to match your king. But remember, she's Miss Tell Me Not a Thing. Mystery in Memphis. It's a mystery in Memphis. Mystery in Memphis. Mystery in Memphis ain't a mystery to us. Mystery in Memphis. It's a mystery in Memphis. Mystery in Memphis. Mystery in Memphis ain't a mystery to us.
Hello?
Mystery in Memphis.
All right, so our case this week is the case of murdered NBA basketball player Lorenzen Wright. And he wasn't currently in the NBA; he had retired,
Right.
but had an illustrious career of 13 seasons. We'll get into all his stats in a little bit. But yeah, he went missing and was found murdered, and it was a mystery for a long time who had killed him. A long time, unfortunately, and there was some stuff that could have been there. It definitely could have been handled quicker had the 911 call audio been given to the police.
Right.
However, it was just kind of passed over on, and we'll get into all that details. Let's go into our sources. So we got the Sports Illustrated article done on him, but the main study source we used was an ABC News 2020 special called Mystery in Memphis. It's 6 parts. You can find the first 5 parts on YouTube, and then the 6th part you have to go to ABC's website then deal with like 900 commercials.
And if you watch the whole thing on ABC's website, which you can, be prepared for the documentary to be like 3 times as long. Like every commercial break is like 5 ads, no joke.
Yeah, and you can't skip them.
You can't skip them. It's insane. It takes forever to watch this hour and 20 minutes. You're better off watching the 5 parts on YouTube, even though it's only half of it.
You might be able to find it on cable and record it on DVR and skip all the commercials. I know they aired it on TV, so
Yeah, there you go.
maybe you already caught it. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
But yeah, we suffered through all the commercials. It took us probably 3 hours to watch an hour and 20-minute documentary,
At least.
or 6-part series. But it was very well done, very good.
Absolutely.
A lot of interviews with people involved in the case, Lorenzen's friends, lawyers, journalists, everybody surrounding this case, even the detective, the homicide detective that worked the case, who actually, if you watch a lot of First 48, you recognize his face. He's a homicide detective down in Memphis. I keep saying West Memphis, damn fucking case.
Yeah.
Down in Memphis.
Right.
Yeah, I recognized him. I'm like, where do I know him from? And then I was like, oh yeah, that's the detective on the First 48.
Yeah.
He worked to this case as well.
I didn't realize that Memphis had such a high crime rate. You know, I didn't realize like in 2017, I think was one of the stats on the thing. They were the 3rd highest crime rate in U.S. The state or the city with the 3rd highest crime rate in the U.S. I don't know who they're behind. I'm guessing they're behind Chicago and probably like
Chicago,
New York or L.A. or something. But that's crazy for us. I know Memphis is a big city, but it's still a smaller southern city compared to, you know, bigger metropolises like L.A. and you know, so it kind of surprised me that crime was that ridden. But that would explain why you see that detective's face so much. You know, there's a lot of shit he's working on. But the 2020 special, I think, was the best overall encapsulation of information of this case. I like how
I didn't feel. I watched it and I was using it for the crime line, and then I would go look at other articles, and I'm like, yeah, I already heard this on the documentary, and I heard it for the 2020 special, and I heard it through the mouth of the people involved too, so I can really, you know, put clout on it.
Exactly.
So yeah, I felt like that's all I needed for this case for sure. It was very well done.
Right. Because this case has been out so long, and it is a mystery. Like, we don't know the specifics, but we do have a lot of clues. So there is a lot to go through. And I think, you know, with this long time period, this happened in 2012? 2010. Okay. So over the last 10 years, you can imagine pretty much everything that's come out on this case that we're going to find out has pretty much come out, in my opinion. I don't think anything else is going to happen unless somebody rolls. And I don't think anybody has a reason to. But we'll get into that.
Right. Well, I could see the person that we believe to be the killer writing another book, maybe. I was getting some more information from that.
Well, yeah, but it's all alleged. It's like the OJ book, you know. It's
a
the
fiction
if I
book,
did it,
man.
It's
a fiction,
right.
but it's like so close to home. It's crazy.
Yeah. I always get real suspicious when someone who's not an author, never wrote anything ever, and then writes fiction, and then it's also closely based to their life. I'm like, how great is your imagination?
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like you're.
It sounds like you wanted to write a nonfiction, but you didn't want people to know the truth about you, so you just called it fiction. That's what it sounds like.
There you go. It sounds a lot like that.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Lorenzen Vern-Gagne Wright. I don't know. Is that how you would say his middle name? It doesn't really matter.
I would say Vern-Gagne. Every time I've seen
Gagne?
Yeah, Gagne is that. I think it's the correct pronunciation of that. I've always seen it as a last name though. So maybe that is a last name. Maybe that's a hyphenated last name from his parents or grandparents maybe.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because his parents weren't together anymore.
Right.
From a young age. So Lorenzen Wright was born on November 4th, 1975. He shares a birthday with Jeff Probst from Survivor and Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, okay. Jeff Probst. I recognize that name. So he's the host of Survivor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, he's eclipsed by Matthew McConaughey, who's next, because literally I have the two names next to each other, and I put McConaughey in bold, of course. It has
I see that. That was a good move.
You know what drives me nuts is I'm pretty sure that the line from the movie is all right, not all right, all right. Everyone adds an extra all right, and it drives me nuts. Huh. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's all right.
Oh, man.
But
it's one of them.
Everybody adds an extra one.
It's one of them Mandela effect things.
Yeah. People made it to be truth.
Yeah, so people have said it enough, yeah.
Anyways, you know what I love about those high school girls?
Yeah, I know.
I get older, they stay the same age.
That's... You know, I actually, every time I hear that line, I actually think of Brian from Family Guy. Remember that he was doing like that cameo as Matthew McConaughey? You ever seen that episode?
No, I never watched that show.
Brian and Stewie? Oh my God. Every time I see that, I think of Brian standing up against a wall with a Matthew McConaughey wig on. You know, Brian's the dog, if you don't know. And he's standing up against the wall with a McConaughey wig on, and like Stewie's standing there too, and like these girls walk by, and he's like, you know what I like about high school girl? And it's like, for some reason, it's not creepy because he's a dog and a baby,
right?
But still, Stewie's like all creeped out by him. It's pretty funny. But I think of that, it's like almost eclipsed the actual movie for me now.
Right. I can see why a dog saying it makes it way better.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So. Lorenzen was raised in Oxford, Mississippi. His mother's name was Deborah. She plays a big role in his investigation, and she's just one of those mothers like we've seen in this podcast over and over again. A mother scorned, man, you don't want to mess with them. Nope. She was up the police's ass every day, and we'll talk a lot more about Deborah in a little bit. I loved her.
No quit in her.
No. And his father was named Herb. His father, Herb, was a professional basketball player who competed in Finland and once had a tryout with the Utah Jazz. So didn't quite make it in the NBA, but was a top-level basketball player nonetheless. Right. When Lorenzen was 7 years old, his father, Herb, was working for the Memphis Police Department when he was paralyzed by a gunshot to the back.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's rough.
And his parents, I believe, at this time had split up. They hadn't been together for a while.
You know, I didn't know that about
But
his
they both
father,
still played roles in their lives.
So
his father lived in a different city, I believe.
Right. So that's why his father was seated in almost every interview and every shot. That's why, correct?
Yeah. You know what? I didn't think about that either, but he was, huh?
Yeah, I just now realized that. I wonder why he never stood up in court or anything, but I didn't know that he was paralyzed. I just thought maybe he was just over it, and that was just his way of grieving. You know, people would grieve in different ways. But,
yeah.
Okay.
So in 7th and 8th grade, Lorenzen was already playing with high school kids in basketball. He played for Lafayette High School in Mississippi before moving to Memphis, where he spent his senior year playing for Booker T. Washington High School. And they made this move because they wanted more competition for Lorenzen. They could see that he had the potential to make it to the pros, and they needed to get him to a more competitive school.
That's wise.
And that's when they moved to Memphis. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a big difference, man, getting that exposure. I mean, especially if your 8th grader's like 6'10", yeah, you might want to make a move. He might have a future.
Yeah, because scouts and stuff, they can, if you're only playing with like at a normal high school with normal kids, they can always speculate like, well, he's not playing any competition. How would he do against better players and whatnot?
That's right.
And that's the mentality to bring. Well, let's go show him he can compete against better players.
Yeah, I have a great example. There was a kid that I grew up with playing like recreation ball, and then later we ended up playing like travel baseball together and stuff. And he was very good. Like he could stay with any team he played on. But when he went to high school, he was raised by his grandparents who were somewhat wealthy, and they just could not fathom the idea of him going to public school. And he went to private school and played in this little league. And I remember reading about him in the paper, just like every game he would go like 4 for 4 with 3 stolen bases, 2 home runs.
Yeah.
And he's just dominating, right? And he pitches, like he pitched a shutout. And I'm like, it's just not fair. Like he doesn't belong there. But because he was there, even though he was putting up these crazy stats, nobody looked at him. No college gave a shit.
Yep.
No, and I was like, man, if you would have just came to a public school, even a 2A, 3A school, you would have got noticed. But, but that just goes to show you where you play matters. It doesn't matter how good you are. It matters where you play, and if you don't get that exposure, then nobody finds you.
That's right. There's been a lot of talented people who never got discovered, probably just they didn't, the parents didn't take them down the right path or for whatever reason.
Oh, absolutely.
They didn't get enough eyes on them.
Absolutely.
It's hard to miss the eyes are easy to find Lorenzen though, because as he matured, he eventually settled in at 6'9".
Yeah, kind of hard to miss him.
No matter what school he was playing for, it's kind of hard to miss him. And it's hard for him to miss the net or the basket when you're 6'9". You could pretty much just reach up and put the ball right in.
Right.
Imagine, like I don't know, I could grab rim and stuff. I could never quite dunk. I'm 6'1".
Right.
Imagine adding another 8 inches. It'd be different story.
Dude, I think if I was 6'4", I could dunk.
For sure. Because it was just a matter of getting the ball over the rim. I could get it to where the ball would kind of go over the thing. I could get it up there. I just couldn't get the damn thing down and in.
Right.
A couple more inches, man.
Hey,
I didn't need to be 6'9". I could be like, I think you're right. If I was 6'3", 6'4", I could get it in there.
Exactly. It's harder than it looks, man. Especially on a 10-foot goal. It's harder than it looks. The NBA players make dunking look so easy.
The people that can really jump, though, like regardless of your height, like those people, they make it look so effortless. It's so odd because like people that can't jump make it look so hard, and they go like a couple inches off the ground.
Yeah,
But then the people that can really jump, they're just like you're watching, like how the hell did you just smoothly just think you're soaring through the air? I don't understand what's going on here.
Hell yeah, man! It's all about mechanics.
I don't know. It's a skill. It is a mechanical thing, and also like a calf strength and explosiveness and.
Yep.
There's some short guys that can dunk no problem.
Oh, no doubt.
It's
doubt.
Definitely. I think it's definitely also a lot of practice, too, for sure.
Oh, it is. It's a lot of practice doing things right. And then also you have the adrenaline when you're playing in games and against people. You know what I mean? It's a lot harder.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's a lot harder to do something amazing just in practice. Like if somebody just hands you a ball in an open gym and it's like dunk, it's like, oh, well, shit.
Right.
This is a little more difficult. You have no adrenaline. You have nothing pushing you to excel, You're just like, oh man, I hope I don't like break an ankle or get.
It depends on your character though too, because some people the nerves, if it's in a big game, they can't do it, whereas in practice they can do it no problem. So it just depends on if you got that clutch gene or not, I guess.
Excellent point.
Apparently, Michael does.
Hey man, I like it
because you don't even know what nerves are, bro.
I like. I don't know about all that now. But yeah, I like to think I thrive under pressure. I don't.
Michael can't dunk unless the crowd's roaring.
Yes,
and thousands watching. Then all of a sudden he's just like,
and then I'm like just throwing down windmills. I don't even know what's up. Like dunking from the foul line and shit.
That's right. So in his junior year of high school, Lorenzen dated a girl named Shara. Her dad was the coach at the time of his team, and Shara was several years older. So he's a junior in high school. She's a junior in college. Ooh. And they began hanging out. I don't think the 2020 special insinuated that they kind of hung out for a while before they dated, but I don't buy it. It's like, dude, if they were hanging out, they were getting it on.
Oh yeah,
they were young and
he's a junior in high school, man. He's living up, man. He's like a hero among his high school.
He's a junior in high school, and he's already probably like 6'9" at that point or 6'7".
Right. That's what I'm saying. He's a hero there.
Yeah. So. As their relationship blossomed, Lorenzen was smitten and blinded with infatuation for Shara. She was very beautiful,
right?
Especially at the time. She saw in Lorenzen a future. She knew that he would probably make it to the pros at some point and become a millionaire. He accepted a scholarship to play for the University of Memphis and was recognized as a third-team All-American by the Associated Press as a sophomore. And while at the University of Memphis, he drew huge crowds to watch the local boy dominate the court. He was beloved in Memphis.
Yeah.
And a lot of this comes from the fact that he stuck around, went to college there, and eventually he goes on to play in the pros in Memphis as well. Be one of the very few people that plays all three levels in their hometown.
Right. It kind of sucks that Mississippi just gets like kicked to the side, even though Mississippi raised him. You know, he grew up and played most of his basketball and training and whatnot in Mississippi. And then he only moved to Memphis as a high schooler. And they're like, homegrown boy. I'm like, well, not exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
Mississippi needs a little bit of credit for this as well, you know. I don't know. It's just my opinion. It's my opinion. Not exactly a homegrown Memphis boy if he only went
He
to
outgrew it, though. He outgrew Mississippi, went on to Memphis, you know.
Yeah.
That's why he went there, was to get more competition. So
Oh, right.
maybe Mississippi should get more competitive.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't know shit about the South. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, Memphis is more competitive, yeah, for sure. And you're going to get more looks. I mean, Mississippi is one of the poorest states in the country, man. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like they're stuck in time, like back in time a little bit, I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a couple states around here that are.
So in 1995, while Lorenzen was a sophomore at Memphis, Shara gave birth to a baby boy they named Lorenzen Jr. So he's now a father, young man, father, but he always wanted a big family.
Yeah.
That was something he always wanted. He was a hard worker, great kid, and it was not going to be a problem for him with everything on his plate to be a good dad. Between classes, he was visiting his boy and getting in as much time as he could as a father.
Right.
Then in 1996, after his sophomore season at age 20, Lorenzen decided to declare for the NBA draft. He decided it was time. 20, I mean, we've seen this done time and time again. If you got the size and the ability, you can start playing at 18, like LeBron or Kobe.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And almost any sport.
You can hang with those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean.
And I think at that age, they've been playing on adult courts all the time, too. You know, just not necessarily in organized leagues, but like street pickup ball. They've been playing with adults for a while, and they know they can hang. So,
of course, these guys were groomed for this. And then your father was a professional basketball player as well, and then your mother has like amazing work ethic and dedication, obviously. So I mean, this guy, he had the genes, he had the size, he had everything.
The work ethic.
Yeah, he had the work ethic. He had it.
Yeah. So. In the first round, with the 7th overall pick in the 1996 draft, the LA Clippers drafted Lorenzen Wright. So he was an early first-round pick. He became an instant millionaire, basically, and in his first season with them, they made the playoffs.
That's incredible.
And around this time, in 1998, on June 6th, Lorenzen and Shara got married. So everything's coming together for him at this point, and that's when they start to grow their family massively.
Yeah, they're living the dream, too, right now, man. Like the American dream is coming together for them, too.
Yeah, and so he's got the money, he's got the contract, and now his family continues to grow. In addition to Lorenzen Jr., they would have a daughter named Lauren, twins named Lamar and Shamar, another daughter named Sophia, another boy named Lawson, and another daughter named Sierra, who tragically died as an infant from sudden infant death syndrome, sadly.
Yeah.
And he would go on to give to charities and participate in awareness for that tragedy. You know,
yeah, that's hard for anybody to face.
Yeah. So still in his 20s, he's now a father of 6.
Wow.
That quickly, man. They got going. And through the early part of their marriage, things were good. They had an abundance of money. They spent it at a pretty fast pace. Lorenzen loved cars and Shara loved jewelry. But they were living it up. You know, they had all these kids and they had plenty of money and they were having a great time. And following Lorenzen's rookie contract, he chose to go home and play basketball once again in front of his people in Memphis. And so, as we said, one of the very few athletes that plays high school, college, and pro in what what they call their hometown, I guess. As you mentioned, he's born in Mississippi, but he viewed Memphis as his spot. He would be one of the very few people to do this.
Yeah, he loved it, man.
Yeah. So he would sign with them in 2001 with the Grizzlies. And upon his return to Memphis, Lorenzen began spending his money and spreading his wealth around. He gave time and money to local charities, and his house was the spot for all the friends and locals to hang out. It was described as Disneyland at the time, his home.
I'm sure it was
just open
to his
doors
friends.
to everyone.
Right? All his friends that
And he
weren't
had 6
basketball
kids,
players.
so-
Like, yeah. Yeah, and yeah.
If his
like
friends
you
were
said,
anything like him,
yeah,
if his friends were anything like him and had a bunch of kids, then damn, yeah, it must have looked like Disneyland.
yeah, I'm sure they had a blast. He probably had like a full court, full size
for sure.
Olympic
You'd
swimming
have to,
pool. Like, yeah. I've seen cribs. I know how these dudes do.
Yeah, right. Lorenzen also bought his mom a house only 3 minutes away from his.
Right on.
The homes were separated by a secluded road called Callis Cutoff. The road had dense trees on both sides, a beautiful country-style road in a suburb. It was kind of bizarre that what separated the two homes was this, what seemed to be like a desolate road, just
Right.
surrounded by forests, basically.
I bet this road was privately made or something.
Yeah,
Just,
it seemed like it.
maybe the people who owned a property near his or his property before or something like that had this road paved, because it wasn't like one that people used to travel. I think it was just a good way to get around the neighborhood, and it so happened.
It's almost like it had been there and it was protected as the suburbs grew around.
Right.
They decided to keep that patch of forest. It was almost like West Memphis 3. You remember that patch of that with the irrigation that ran through and that patch of woods that was just kind of random off the highway?
Yeah.
It almost has that feel to it. And it seems like also coincidentally bad shit happens in those little patches of things.
Yeah, it is. It's nice and secluded, but bad things happen in nice secluded areas as well.
There's a little foreshadowing for you with this episode.
Right.
So in 2003, Lorenzen founded the Sierra Simone Wright Scholarship Fund after the death of his daughter, as we mentioned. So he's given back and, turning it into a good, the tragedy that had happened to him and his wife.
Right.
And then during the summer of 2003, he returned to the University of Memphis to finish his degree. So
Right on.
thinking ahead,
Yeah.
he's playing pro ball, but he still has the wherewithal to get a degree, so that afterwards he can start businesses, which he did.
That's right.
He was trying to prepare for life after basketball. Unfortunately, just the spending habits between him and his wife were hard to maintain, even with multiple businesses.
Right. It still takes discipline. You see it with a lot of pro athletes right now. If you follow them, and see, we kind of have access to pro athletes' lives more than we ever have before because of social media.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the pro athletes that I follow individually on Instagram, almost all of them have side businesses. They have some other.
They're all entrepreneurs on the side.
Yes, they have some other chain that they're opening, or maybe an online business, or something.
They're also, in today's age, they're getting nonstop pitches for investments.
Exactly.
And I want would you want to invest in this business with me and this and that? So all they really have to do is kind of open their email, and I'm sure they've got endless opportunities to
course.
invest in.
Yeah, but that don't mean that they're the right ones.
No.
there's a-
I know Ashton Kutcher, man. That's one thing he does. He's an investor in different companies and whatnot.
Yeah.
He goes and does meetings, and people pitch him their ideas, and he decides whether to invest or not.
Oh, okay.
He's been doing that for a while.
Yeah, I bet so. Cam Newton is like he started like a lounge in Atlanta. It's called
Dude, he should.
Yeah.
He's got style. That dude. Like,
that's what
he
I'm
should
saying.
be doing something. He
No,
should open a
is.
club or something.
He already
like that.
has one, bro. It's called Fellowship. It's in Atlanta.
Okay.
And it seems to be doing really
He also
well.
He also should own a hat store, like business type of thing.
He should own like his own fashion line.
He could
plus
put
the
lids
club.
out of business with all the different hats that he has.
Dude, those fedoras are badass. Yeah,
Right.
those fedoras are legit. But he could absolutely go into fashion and then have the lounge, have the high end lounge. It's like a cigar / wine lounge. It's pretty dope.
That's awesome.
It's pretty dope. It seems to be doing pretty well.
He should have a whiskey wall in there and shit.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
So through the 2000s, Lorenzen and Shara's marriage had become turbulent and continued to be turbulent through the 2000s as they discovered that both had been cheating on each other. I feel like it's pretty common with pro athletes' relationships. It's tough
The
because they're
temptation is
traveling
so
around.
high, though. The temptation is so
what?
high for these dudes.
Yeah,
it's
I
like
mean-
they get off the plane and there's women waiting for them.
The average man that talks shit on these guys that cheat on their wives and whatnot. They're being so stupid because it's just like no one's being the stuff that you're not getting women thrown at you every day
No.
like these guys are.
No.
Like all the people that hated on Tiger Woods when he cheated. It's like the dude everywhere he goes,
He's
every plane
Tiger
he gets
Woods.
off of, there's women waiting for him, like
Right.
knock out like some of the most beautiful women in the world are throwing themselves at him on a daily basis. Now, Bob down at the fucking factory, when's the last time a beautiful woman threw herself at you, bro?
Right, if that
Chill
guy's
out.
cheating, he's trying. Like, fuck you, Bob.
Yeah,
like
it's different, right? Yeah, it's like what we said about them with like the emails of all the business opportunities and whatnot. It's the same thing. It's like the opportunity is endless when you're in the forefront, you're a millionaire, and everyone knows it.
Yep. And then, but
you're just trying to deflect all the stuff that's coming at you, as opposed to us, where it's like you're right. You have to go out of your way to try and cheat on your wife if you're an average Joe.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the other hand, it's really not that much easier for the wife either. Like, I'm not condoning infidelity.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying it's not easy for her.
They're at home and
she's,
you're on the road all the time.
Right. And she's living this lavish lifestyle. I mean, you got to imagine she always looks good and she's going out and then she's around other successful men in the business constantly. And that's attractive to people. I mean, money and success is attractive, whether you want to admit it or not. It makes people, it can bump a 6 up to an 8, a 9, 10 really quick. You know what I'm saying? Like a little bit of money in the bank. And it's a lot of temptation for these people. And they spend a lot of time apart. I think that is crucial as well. A lot of time apart.
Definitely. Yep. And so, he was always on the road. And when he would land in different cities, there would be women waiting for him. They knew that, that the visiting team was coming into town. And you hear stories of a lot of pro athletes have multiple phones. They got phones for the women at the different cities and different area codes.
Yeah.
Things like that. So, how it goes. Lorenzen played for the Grizzlies from 2001 to 2006. Then he played for the Atlanta Hawks from 06 to 08. Then the Kings for one season. And finally the Cleveland Cavaliers from 08 to 09, which would end up being his last season in the NBA. And his stint with the Cavaliers, he actually played alongside LeBron.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
goats.
We'll go through some of his career stats. In his final season with the Cavaliers, he played alongside LeBron. The record was 66-16. They finished first in the Central Division and ended up losing in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Magic. Over his career, he averaged 8 points and 6.4 rebounds a game. He played in 778 NBA games over 13 seasons, tallied up 6,191 points, 4,943 rebounds, and 622 assists.
Wow.
So very, very solid career in the NBA.
No
Maybe
doubt.
not Hall of Fame status, but like very solid 13-year career. Can't ask for more than that,
Absolutely. Consistent player. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as like leaving the Grizzlies, some of that stuff's out of your control. I believe he got traded at least once. So,
right.
It's a business.
That's
so
right.
You can't
have to
always
remember
just
that.
play where you want to play forever.
That's right. They don't really care about your happiness where you are because you're getting paid millions of dollars. So
that's right. That's right. So as his career came to an end in 2010, so did his marriage. In 2010, Shara filed for divorce, and Lorenzen agreed that it was time. They wanted to keep it civil as they wanted to be fair to their 6 children. And following their divorce, Lorenzen moved to Atlanta to live with his buddy Mike. I think this is kind of a rebound period for him. He's trying to figure out what he's going to do now. He moves out of his massive home that he's lived in with his wife and 6 kids for all these years, and now he's living in a condo in Atlanta with his buddy. So I think he's just trying to figure out where he wants to go with his life at this point.
right.
However, Lorenzen and Shara continued to see each other. They continued hooking up and even talking about starting over. At one point, Lorenzen even proposed again to Shara in front of their children, and she said yes.
Oh man, those kids have got to be confused. They're like, what the hell's going on?
It's like watching a ping pong game back and forth between their parents.
Wait, I
What is going on
thought you
here?
guys hated each other. Oh, we're moving back in. Okay. All right.
Yep. Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so this is where things start to take a turn, and we're leading up to Lorenzen's disappearance. So Lorenzen was frequently making trips from Atlanta to Memphis to see his family. One of these trips was on July 19th, 2010. While in Memphis, Lorenzen was supposed to meet with Shara and go to his daughter's dance recital. Shara had, called him and asked him, "Hey, when you're here, let's go to your daughter's recital."
Right.
There was also a baby shower, I believe, that was in his family
Yes,
that
for
his
his
mom was
sister.
expecting him to make it to.
That was for his sister, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so that day, on July 19th, he departed Atlanta at 10 a.m., and upon landing in Memphis, I believe he touched down in Memphis and was out of the airport at around 1 p.m. He called his buddy Phil and wanted to hang out with him. His buddy Phil had just gotten a new car, and he'd been begging Lorenzen to go riding around with him in it.
You want to show up the new whip? I hear you.
Of course.
I hear you.
Yeah. So Phil picked up Lorenzen at the airport in his new car, and the two drove around the city together for most of the day. Lorenzen even took a selfie with Phil's cell phone at 8:13 p.m., which would end up, sadly, being the last picture ever taken of Lorenzen while he was alive.
I hate those pictures in these cases, right? The picture that happens like the day of is always the creepiest picture. I know it's just in hindsight,
it is too.
But
The picture when you look at it, you're like, something looks a little off, right? He's not really smiling. He just kind of looks.
He looks like this is his last picture,
odd.
and he knows it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's got an eerie feeling to
weird.
it. He's just sitting in the passenger seat, and it's just like a close-up selfie of his shoulders and head, and that's it. But it just seems.
It was the worst picture that I saw of him throughout. Like,
oh, no doubt.
I mean, seeing his face a million times. Very good looking dude.
So photogenic, right? As like, there's not
Yeah.
a bad picture of this guy out here. And then, ironically, the one he takes of himself is probably the worst. It's usually the opposite.
Very weird. Yep. Yeah, and so Lorenzen was hanging out with his buddy Phil, and I guess they were going to have a father-son night that night. They were going to go out with their boys, their sons, and have fun that night.
Oh, yeah.
However, Phil and Lorenzen started getting calls from Shara, and Shara was upset. She wanted Lorenzen to come home. And Phil ended up dropping him off. Lorenzen told Phil that he was going to go in and calm down his ex-wife and hang out for a little bit, and then he would call him, and they would still go out later.
Okay.
However, Phil did not hear back from him, did not receive that call to come hang out again. And the next thing that happens in the timeline of this story is at 12:13 a.m. that night, Germantown Police Department receives a 911 call. There is audio that you can listen to out there. It's in every like documentary and special about this case.
Yeah, I probably put it in the intro.
I'm sure you've already heard it in the intro. There was no caller ID, and the dispatcher is unable to get a location for the caller, and the dispatcher is trying to ask who it is and what's going on, but it's kind of incoherent, screaming and gunshots. There's many gunshots heard. The caller is clearly in distress, and I believe the caller, all they said was "goddamn," and then was basically being shot, it sounded like.
Yeah. And then you have the 911 operator just saying, hello, hello,
yeah,
hello, constantly. I think there's like 11 gunshots. Wasn't there something like 11 gunshots?
There was a lot. I don't know. Yeah, I never counted them, but there was certainly a lot. It's pretty creepy audio.
Yeah. And then the lady's like, all I hear is gunshots. And then we do nothing with the call for some reason. Oh.
Yeah, and so for whatever reason, the dispatcher chose not to do anything about it. And I guess they said in the 2020 special that after talking to the police station that was the dispatcher did the right thing according to protocol, I guess.
Because the call was pinged outside of their jurisdiction. So they were like, oh, okay, well, that's not us anyway. But why not notify
so let's not
the people?
Contact the jurisdiction.
Exactly.
That, hey, some stuff's going on.
Exactly. Give that information to the jurisdiction that needs to handle it. And then nobody did it. It was like it was just set on hold and nobody ever picked it up. You know what I mean? That's basically what happened here. It was just nobody did anything wrong per se, but also nobody went out of their way to make sure that this was taken care of.
Yeah, and because of this, what could have been the investigation for this murder could have gotten started right away. Things would have been different. There would have been a lot more evidence. Obviously, the body would have been in much better shape.
Right.
Because from late July 19th, no one had heard from Lorenzen for over 4 days. So following, him being picked up at the airport, riding around with his buddy Phil, and then being dropped back off at his home, following that, no one has heard from him.
But this is not that strange for Lorenzen, though.
No.
People weren't that worried because he was known to hop on a plane, go to Europe, and get out of the country, go to Vegas, whatever, and have a good time and not let anybody know, and then just show up. I mean, he had the funds to do that. He's an adult. He's technically divorced at this time, so he didn't owe an explanation to anyone. So people didn't worry.
Yeah, though he was retired, he was retired, but he was still living a bit of an NBA lifestyle, still jumping on a jet and flying here or there.
Oh, of course.
And wouldn't always answer his phone. And there was times where he, all of his friends and family said the same thing. They said, you know what, for a couple of days we weren't really that worried about it because that was just Lorenzen.
Right.
And so, but Lorenzen's mother became became concerned and eventually did call on July 22nd to report him missing due to the fact that he hadn't been calling his daughter Lauren back, which that was one thing that
was rare.
He was usually pretty good about getting back to his daughter. And,
right.
As a parent, we can understand that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's one thing to, blow off friends and whatnot like that because you're busy, but, your kids, your daughter's calling you, you want to get back to them.
That's right.
So when Lorenzen was reported missing, it became quite a big story, as we know how big he was in Memphis, kind of a local hero there. And the fact that he's missing, that coming out, it blew up. It was all over every news station. Speculation ensued. And following his disappearance, investigators began looking into his life. They learned that he was not doing all that well financially, despite having made over $55 million in his career. He had a sports cafe that he owned that was ran by his dad, wasn't making much money, and he had a car detailing shop as well. And they also found out that he had a relationship with an interesting man named Bobby Cole, who was a high-level drug dealer and race car driver, and that's where speculation got a little bit out of hand in regards to Lorenzen and drug dealing, which turns out was completely unfounded, and there was no evidence to back the fact that he was involved in any drug dealing or anything like that. But it didn't stop things from kind of spiraling out of control as far as speculation with that. There was a lot of talk that maybe he owed some drug dealer money, and there was hitmen that came to Memphis to kill him, all these type of things.
Right. And that's not disproven, but it's in no way, shape, or form proven either.
No. The only connection to him in any kind of drug dealing was the fact that he knew this Bobby Cole character, but the only reason he knew Bobby Cole is that Bobby Cole had bought a couple of Lorenzen's cars.
That's right.
That was the common thing. That was the basis of their friendship was cars, not drugs.
Right. Lorenzen he was a big motorhead. He had a lot of badass cars, and this guy was interested in cars, and Lorenzen needed some money. And a quick way to get some of that capital back in the bank is to sell off some of your assets. You can't drive them all at one time.
I get the feeling like Motorhead, that oil ran in their veins, both of them. Lorenzen and Bobby Cole, and Lorenzen had a means to fund his obsession with cars and playing basketball. Bobby Cole was not 6'9" and not a pro athlete, so he funded it with drug dealing.
There you go.
That's how he kept up his obsession with race car driving. They just had different means of doing it.
Right.
And actually, the DEA had already investigated Bobby Cole and Lorenzen's relationship. They had been on to Bobby Cole, watching his every move as a high-level drug dealer, obviously. And they had found that, Lorenzen, who is a well-known guy, had been meeting with Bobby Cole, and they had actually looked into their relationship and interviewed Bobby Cole in the past to see if there'd been any drug transactions made between them, and they were unable to find any evidence of such transactions. So the DEA had already looked into their relationship between Cole and Lorenzen and found nothing.
Right.
So that a lot of that whole, he was killed over drug dealing stuff is completely unfounded. I've determined through studying this case.
That is just to get people sidetracked. And when you learn the people that brought that stuff up later, it starts to become more and more clear as to why that was just
like the people that we believe killed him.
Right.
They have brought a lot of that stuff into the fold as a distraction.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that was a distraction, something to throw people off the case, to add a little bit of doubt, and I think it did a good job doing that.
Hey, Creepers, did you know every 26 seconds there's a break-in in this country? But with Simply Safe Home Security, you can protect your whole home around the clock. It's serious, lasting protection, and all it takes is a simple 30-minute setup. You'll even get a free security camera when you protect your home today. More on that in a second. I set up my Simply Safe system in about 30 minutes. I now have sensors on all my doors and windows, and I even have a motion sensor in my basement. I can sleep like a baby now, knowing that if anyone tries to get in my home, that my alarm will be set off. Simply Safe is an award-winning arsenal of sensors and security cameras that blankets every inch of your home. You'll know your home and family are always safe. You set Simply Safe up yourself in a few minutes without any tools or wiring. No technician or salesperson has to step foot in your home. Then Simply Safe will monitor your home around the clock with security professionals who are there in case of an emergency to immediately send help to your home. Plus, there's no contract, no hidden fees, and no installation costs. It's why a U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. And here's the best part. Right now, visit simplysafe.com/creeper and get a free security camera plus a 60-day risk-free trial with any new system order. There's nothing to lose. Go today to simplysafe.com/creeper. That's simplysafe.com/creeper. So when police questioned Shara about Lorenzen's disappearance, it's natural for them to interview the spouse, obviously, and one of the last people to see him.
Right.
When they interviewed her, she said that the night that he went missing, he was at the home with a guy she had never seen before, and they had a box of drugs, presumably to go sell, because they needed money.
Just a box of drugs, huh? Just good old box of drugs.
I know, right? That sounds phony as fuck.
I know.
Box of
I
drugs.
think
I didn't
he
even
had
think
like a
about
box
that.
of drugs. I don't know. They smelled like drugs. I don't know. Yeah,
that makes me think of an underrated movie, The Night Before. It's a Christmas movie with Seth Rogen and all those characters.
Oh,
and,
yeah. You've talked about this
movie
before.
Yeah, in that movie, his wife, like, they'd go out once a year on Christmas Eve, I believe.
Yeah.
And you know, they party hard and stuff, and it's just kind of accepted with their spouses and whatnot. And on that night, his wife went out and bought him, like, a box of drugs, like a literal, but it's like one of each thing. He's like, the proportions of this shit are all off. Just like...
She was like, I don't know. I just ordered the box of drugs.
There's like mushrooms, coke, like weed, like everything. It was funny.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, a box of drugs just sounds bogus, right?
It
That
does.
sounds like someone who doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, it sounds like bullshit. Like you're just making that up.
Yeah. So the police are looking at her, questioning her, and she's denying, saying that, you know, I don't know. He was with this guy I've never seen. They were going to sell drugs, and then that's the last time I heard from him. So local news reporters even went to Shara's door and got an interview from her. Standing in her doorway, talking to them, she said he was fine, and he's fine now. Maybe a little Freudian slip there. He was fine, talking about him in past tense. I thought that was kind of odd. And then she quickly fixed it. She said he was fine, and he's fine now.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to believe anything other than that. He's fine now.
Right.
And so I feel like she slipped a little bit there in talking about him in past tense when, you know, he's only been missing for a few days. No one knows whether he's alive or not.
Right. It's almost like she assumed that they were going to ask how he was feeling in the time leading up to his disappearance, right? Oh, he was fine. He was fine. He was fine. I mean, he still is. I mean, if he was alive, he'd still be fine. I mean, he still is alive.
Totally not dead. Totally.
Yeah, not dead. He's fine. Not dead. Just to clear that up.
Yeah. The one thing that stuck out to Lorenzen's friends about the night that he went missing was the fight that he had with Shara. That night, as we mentioned, Lorenzen and Phil were going to have that father-son night with the boys, and Shara called and demanded that Phil bring him home. She was pretty livid when, you know, Phil could overhear their conversations on the phone. And then on the 28th, 9 days after his disappearance, police finally discovered the 911 call that had been made in Germantown that night, and recovering that audio changed everything. So they had a timeline to start with, and they now assumed the worst, essentially. And they were able to triangulate a location, and that leads them to find the body. Basically, they found the 911 call by just they were running out of options. They were running out of leads with this. Time was passing by, and they just, started looking at anything they could, and they started, was there any calls made around the time that he disappeared? And then sure enough, they find this audio call that was never really passed along like it should have been, in my opinion.
Can you imagine them
changed the timeline
listening?
of everything?
Can you imagine the police or whoever it was that looked this up listening to this and going, "Oh my God, how is this not followed up? This is embarrassing. Like, how do we hear 11 gunshots or at least 11 gunshots in a call, and then we don't even trace it. We don't even go there. I mean, in 2010, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Yep. Yeah, so with the phone call that had been made to 911 that night with the gunshots and whatnot, police were able to get through cell phone records, the towers. They were able to ping the towers where the phone call had come from, and they were able to locate a heavily wooded road that goes from Lorenzen's mother's house to his former home and now Shara's home, Callus Cutoff, which we had talked about earlier. The kind of creepy road that went between his former home and his mom's home that's just very densely wooded, and some bad stuff could happen in there and not be found for a while.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, so they go there, and pretty much right away, that same day, they located Lorenzen's body, badly decomposed after being exposed to the elements. This is the southern summer. This is July.
Oh, yeah.
In Memphis. And so after being exposed to the elements for 9 days, what remained of Lorenzen's body only now weighed 57 pounds.
Yeah. You're not going to make it out there in the woods, bro. In the summer, all the animals are going full-fledged, too.
Yeah.
Like everything out there. That's 57 pounds. This is a man that was what? He was probably 250?
I think he was 270. He was 6'9", like 270.
270. And ended up down to 57 pounds in just 9 days. I mean, a body can decompose very quick in that summer heat.
That's probably close to what his skeleton weighed, I imagine. He's probably just not much left more than his skeleton at that point.
Right.
And they found that he'd been shot at least 5 times. They showed, the one thing they did show is where his body had been found, and it was like, a black outline in some like dead grass where his body was laying.
Right.
Not a whole lot of effort to hide the body. It seems like it was like right off the road and laying in an open area.
Right.
Seems like you could have at least half buried him, something. I don't know, but the crime scene, nonetheless, because it took so long for them to find him, left very few clues, and there were no witnesses, which made it a very difficult investigation. Initially, investigators, friends, and family's main person of interest was obviously Shara, and Lorenzen's mother was always Deborah. She was always very weary of Shara. They never had a great relationship. They got along because the grandkids, as far as Deborah, she wanted to stay civil so she could be close to her son and close to her grandkids, but she never liked Shara.
Of course.
And now that her son went missing, she was basically pointing right away to the police to say Shara did this, in my opinion.
Right.
However, from the investigation side, Shara was initially forthcoming and took away a lot of their suspicion. However, in the middle of them questioning her and whatnot, she suddenly decided to lawyer up, which was weird to them. They're like, she was forthcoming, she was doing a good job, like our suspicion was being kind of squashed, and then all of a sudden she lawyered up and she didn't want to talk anymore. Meanwhile, Lorenzen's mother was relentlessly pestering police every day to find her son's killer. And as time passed, and his case kind of went cold. Meanwhile, Shara became a pastor at her church. She was always involved in this church, and after Lorenzen's passing, she became more involved and became a pastor.
Yeah.
She then spent many days in court defending herself after Lorenzen's father opened a lawsuit against her for spending too much of the money. She got a $1 million settlement, life insurance policy settlement from Lorenzen's death. It was like $1,033,000 for Lorenzen's death, and she was blowing through this money.
Right, which I was
going
to say, it's important to note that Lorenzen wasn't bringing in anywhere near this much at this time. So he was literally worth more dead to her and the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, especially because they were divorced. So she gets the whole $1 million instead of getting a piece of whatever he's bringing in, which isn't as much.
Exactly, which is the child support, alimony, or whatever it is. Even though I'm sure it gave her a lavish lifestyle still. But it wasn't $1 million to do what you want.
As we hear from people later on, it was never enough for her. There was never enough money for Shara.
Right.
Sadly, she was very greedy.
That's why she got into the church. Oh man, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
You're going to hell.
I'm speaking the truth though, and y'all that's in church know it. These pastors, man, some of these pastors, it's crazy what they make for the amount of work that they put in. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, they deserve a bigger piece for spreading the word, spreading the gospel.
Doing God's work.
We're making more people prosperous in Jesus' name.
That's right. Highly favored.
That's why I deserve a mansion and a Lamborghini to drive to church.
That's right. Jesus would want me to.
Yeah. So Shara was spending the $1 million life insurance payout on extravagant items for herself in Lorenzen's father's opinion. Mm-hmm. So Herb believed, that her buying 3 Mercedes within a few months of Lorenzen's death was not in the best interest of the kids long term.
No.
That $1 million that was there so that, the 6 kids could have something as they become young adults, pay for college and whatnot. There's a lot of expenses, but she was buying multiple cars, jewelry, and you name it. She lived a very extravagant lifestyle.
Right.
So she was in court every day defending herself against Lorenzen's father on that case. And meanwhile, she later tried to get even more out of the estate. So then in 2012, to everyone's surprise, Shara released a book called, quote, Mr. Tell Me Anything. This book was supposed to be fiction, but didn't appear to be fiction. It appeared to be clearly about her relationship with Lorenzen. It was,
right.
And I'll read you read the description of this book. I looked it up on Amazon. You can find the book on Amazon, and the description written by Shara for the book, Michael's going to read right now.
Okay, here it goes. It says, falling in love with the same man of her dreams over and over again was not a difficult task for Sharon Robertson. She had cherished Mr. Tell Me Anything so long that her fragile heart didn't even know how not to love him. After 6 years, the couple settles into a troubled marriage. Despite the inherited challenges of parenting and relating to their obvious differences, they continue on. With the constant chaos surrounding women, new acquaintances, family, and greed, their efforts would soon appear to be ultimately in vain. Combined with the newfound lies and deception, she finds herself questioning his commitment. Her belief in true love propels her to fight for what she had envisioned from the start. But despite her nurturing efforts, corruption and deceit took their stable places in his life. A breaking point is reached. She makes a life-altering decision. Does it work out for good? Did all his lies finally catch up to him? Would he or she pay the ultimate price?
Now, what do you think that she makes a life-altering decision? What do you think that was? Was it maybe to kill her husband?
I'm going to say,
her ex-husband.
I'm going to say it was to alter her husband's life into non-existence.
Yeah. Yeah. Did all his lies finally catch up to him? I'm going to say, in your opinion, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And so a lot of that stuff in the book, so there was an interview by a journalist. He hit up Shara following the release of her book, and he met her at a restaurant. It was very loud, but he recorded their interview. He talked to her for like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And interviewed it at the table and asked her a lot of hard-hitting questions. And in the interview with this journalist, she admitted that the male character in the book was based on Lorenzen. And she insinuates that Lorenzen, quote, had a problem with keeping his hands to himself. And a lot of times, a lot of stuff in the book insinuates domestic violence. She insinuates that Lorenzen hit her and whatnot.
Hey,
in the book.
Not giving any credit to that or whatnot, but did you notice something in the way that Shara talks? Did you notice that her, like in the more recent interviews, like later on, it's like in the early pictures of her and videos and stuff, she looked fine, but in the later interviews, it was almost like her jaw was a little bit crooked.
It almost looked like she had like a droopy eye too.
Yeah, it looked like on the one side, like maybe she suffered a stroke, or maybe she took a hard hit to the jaw.
That's kind of what it looked like. That's kind of what it looked like. It looked like she had suffered a stroke because it seemed like one side of her face was not. Her face wasn't symmetrical anymore, where it really was. She was gorgeous in her early life.
Right.
So, I mean, that's
But that's typical under the stress.
That's because Lorenzen hit her. There's no real proof of that other than her saying that, and now we know what she is. She's a killer.
Right. But I'm wondering if she's like milking that, because she never gave any explanation for that either. But she very well could have suffered a stroke under, I'm sure, the stresses that she was under. Whether she is responsible for this or not, it's still a lot of stress and could put someone in that situation. But I just found it very odd, the way that...
I did notice that.
Yeah. So, just want to bring that up.
She also said that the sequel of her first book, was 90% done, and that the male character, much like Lorenzen, would be murdered in the end of the sequel.
Spoiler alert.
Wow! So
way to ruin your own book.
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
Well, the interviewer, the journalist, he straight out asked her. He's like,
he won't let it go.
And and is the character killed in the end? And she basically said yes.
Ah, damn. Yeah, what a weird place for an interview. Like you said before, the restaurant was so damn loud. It's like
she might have wanted a public setting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so this book goes out, and she's getting hit up for all kinds of interviews. And the next journalist that interviews her was a guy named Kelvin Cowens. And she puts her spell on him, and he breaks the code of journalists, and he gets into an intimate relationship with Shara. And the two even end up moving together to Houston, and he spends 3 years with Shara in an intimate relationship. He's around the boys, the kids all the time. However, and he's interviewed in the 2020 special, Kelvin, and he's coming out with didn't he say he's coming out with a documentary about her later on?
Yes, he is. It's called
and about the relationship.
What is it? A Million Reasons or something?
Yeah.
I think it's called A Million Reasons. Yeah, it's supposed to be coming out very soon, I guess. 1st of 2021, I'm guessing.
That title, A Million Reasons, would insinuate that maybe the reason she killed him was $1 million.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. It's a good wordplay.
So,
and the S in reasons is money. Is a money sign in the logo. I saw the logo for the doc. So, that's a good assumption there.
So Shara gets with Kelvin. They spend 3 years together intimately. However, eventually he said that Shara's complete obsession with money drove him away, and he left her because he was like, at a certain point, it's just like, I can't believe that this is still just all about money. So after the whole lawsuit between Lorenzen's father and Shara was finally settled, she was still going after more money in the estate, trying to get more money from Lorenzen's family and whatnot. It was never enough. And he just was like, I can't believe this. I can't believe she's got everything she could need or want, and she still wants more.
Oh, yeah.
And it just bothered him.
It was never enough.
Yeah. So following the breakup with Kelvin, Shara moved again, this time to California. It seemed like she was moving further and further away from Memphis because there was a lot of eyes on her in Memphis. A lot of people were still speculating that she had killed Lorenzen, and they just kept moving west, and now they're on the coast, far, far away. And there she married a man named Tim Robertson, who was working for a record label, and at one point had lived in Memphis, so they had that tie to Memphis together, and maybe that's where they had known each other from.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's at this time in the story here, it's 2017. It's been 7 years since Lorenzen was murdered, and there's still no justice. But the biggest break in the case was about to be announced. So in November of 2017, police suddenly announced that the gun used in the murder had been found in a lake in Mississippi.
Oh no!
And you're thinking, how did they suddenly find this gun in a lake?
I know, right?
Like,
and
they
back
had to
in
have gotten
Mississippi,
tipped off, right?
It's like, why are we back in Mississippi all of a sudden? Yeah, this is weird.
And so that's when the First 48 detective I talked about that I liked that was interviewed in 2020, he's like, when I heard that, I knew that someone got desperate and talked. That's what happened.
Yep.
And, of course, he was right. The gun was found thanks to Shara's cousin, a guy named Jimmy Martin, who was currently in jail for killing his girlfriend. He had been convicted of second-degree murder for the killing of his girlfriend and was awaiting his sentencing when he, in basically a Hail Mary attempt, offered up information about Lorenzen's murder in an attempt to try and get a lighter sentence for the crime he was facing.
I don't think he got anything for that, though, did he? I think
he got nothing.
Yeah, he just kind of gave it up, and it helped further this case, but then he got nothing out of it. But he could have very well been involved. So I think that's the right thing to do.
He was. I mean, he, according to him, he helped to clean up the scene later.
Yeah, there's no way he did more than that. If he knew where.
Yeah, you're right. He could have been there.
If he knew where this gun was, come on, man. He probably did.
Yeah, he wouldn't. If he's trying to get a lighter sentence for killing his girlfriend, then he wouldn't admit to
killing
playing
another person.
Role in actually killing Lorenzen. Yeah,
right. Yeah, that won't help.
So Jimmy tells investigators at this time that Shara and a man named Billy Ray Turner had killed Lorenzen. Billy was a landscaper and kind of a nobody, a guy that kind of flew under the radar. Nobody knew. Mm-hmm. He was this landscaper that had mowed lawns in the area, and he was a deacon at the local church. Jimmy said that this wasn't the first time either that they had tried to kill Lorenzen. So basically, Shara had hired these two to kill Lorenzen in the past, and it didn't work out the first time. They had gone down to Atlanta. Remember when Shara and Lorenzen first got divorced, and Lorenzen moved down to Atlanta to live in that condo with his buddy?
That's right.
Right when that happened, Shara allegedly had gone down there with these two gentlemen, Jimmy and Billy, to try and kill Lorenzen. She had actually gone into the condo. She'd gone down there and she called up Lorenzen and went to the condo. He was staying out with his buddy, and his buddy was like, it was kind of weird that she just kind of showed up to the condo down there. It's like they're divorced. Why is she here? Yeah. And she's walking around this condo, and she apparently left a window unlocked. She unlocked a window to the condo so that Billy and Jimmy could get in there and kill Lorenzen that night. Yep. That night, Billy and Jimmy went into the condo and found that Lorenzen wasn't there. It was one of those late nights that Lorenzen was, out who knows where, partying or something, wasn't home. All they found was Lorenzen's buddy on the couch sleeping, and decided since he was sleeping and he wasn't the guy they wanted to kill, they just would leave. So they left and yep.
Well, you don't want to add any more attention, killing another innocent person. Like,
yeah, the buddy in the documentary was funny. He was like, dude, if I would have woken up, I'd be dead right now. Like there was two men standing there in my condo looking to kill Lorenzen.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm alive is because Lorenzen wasn't there. Because if Lorenzen was there, they would have killed Lorenzen, and they most likely would have killed him too, because he would have woken up. And
oh yeah.
So he got very lucky that Lorenzen wasn't there.
No doubt. He got lucky he didn't wake up too, man. God, I feel like I would have woke up. I'm a light sleeper when it comes to stuff like that. I feel like when I can hear, because I always sleep with a fan on, and I feel like when people like walk in front of the fan, which is, they would have to walk in front of the fan to come to my side of the bed. I'm going to hear the difference in the fan. Oh,
that's your little alarm system, huh?
Yeah, because I know I wake up by it, because when one of my kids have a bad dream or something, like my youngest daughter, she's 7, and occasionally when she has a bad dream, she'll come in there, and I can hear her come in front of the fan, because it's like,
yeah,
and you hear that gap, and you're like, whoa, what the hell? I don't know. It's like something in my subconscious. It wakes me up, and I'm like, what are you doing in here, girl? You scared the shit out of me.
Well, Lorenzen and his buddy, all they needed was some Simply Safe sensors on those windows.
That's right.
And it
Some Simply Safe.
No problem.
That's right, man. Hey, don't sleep on those Simply Safe.
So Jimmy said that a couple days after Lorenzen's murder, Billy asked him for help with locating the gun, which they had dropped during the murder and disposing of it. So they come to him, Billy and Shara come to Jimmy, and they say, hey, we killed Lorenzen. This is where it happened, and we lost the gun during the murder. We need your help to find it, and we need to get rid of it. And so that's where, he says he went with them to that road on the patch of woods. They found the gun, and they took it to a lake in Mississippi where they threw it in, and that's how he was able to tell investigators that the gun was in this location, and they were able to go there and actually find it, which corroborated everything that he was saying. The one thing that you're saying, which is totally true, is that he absolutely was most likely there during the murder. He may have very well been the guy that actually killed him.
That alibi makes no sense. First off, you shoot someone with a gun. How do you lose the gun? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? How do you lose the gun in that quick time? And also, let's say you kill somebody with one other person. Why are you going to go tell somebody else and make more loose ends and have them involved in it? Even if you trust them, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Both of those gentlemen were there. I'm not sure if Shara was there or not. Probably not. But
are you even 100% convinced that Billy Turner was there?
I'm not.
Because I mean, if you think about it, Jimmy, while he's in prison, he needs another man to say was the killer, right? No one's going to believe that Shara was the one who walked up and shot Lorenzen 9 times or however many times it was.
Right.
There needs to be another man there. Billy's this guy that was around the area that.
Yeah, but the only thing that makes me think that Billy was there is he has no alibi. He hasn't given any reason to not be there. He's just kind of like, well, let's just let the court decide. And people like that make me a little bit nervous. It's like, well, what's your side? What's your story? Give me your story.
Yeah.
Like, give me something. What were you doing that day? Where were you on this day? How do you know Shara?
And it does seem as though he had some sort of relationship with Shara.
Yeah,
he was allegedly had been sleeping with her.
Yeah, and we know how she puts people under her spell. I mean, look how she got the reporter, and then now she has the landscaper guy. And I don't know, man. It just seems like they were all involved.
Yeah, so they find all this stuff out. They talk to Jimmy. They find the gun, and Jimmy's telling them, it was this guy, Billy Turner, and it was Shara. And so the police, they start recording Billy's conversations, and they are able to, that's another thing that doesn't look good on Billy, I suppose, is they were able to find something incriminating in his phone calls. And they arrested him on December 5th, 2017. And it's kind of a shock. Everybody, the news lets out. Someone's been arrested for the murder of Lorenzen Wright, finally.
Yep.
And it's a guy named Billy Turner that no one's ever heard of. And they're like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, why did he kill him?
Yeah, and so December 5th, 2017, he's arrested. And 10 days later, Shara Wright would also be arrested while in California, and she would be extradited back to Memphis to face the charges. Turner was a previously convicted felon on unrelated charge that stemmed from a case in the early 90s where he was found in illegal possession of a gun that he was arrested for when he was arrested for murder in the Wright case. So when they arrested him for the murder, he had a gun on him, and he wasn't allowed to have a gun because he was a felon from the 90s. And so they basically they charge him with this, and he accepts these charges right away. And now that freaked out. Basically it was like a waiting game between Billy Turner and Shara and each of their lawyers. They were like, who's going to take a plea deal first?
Right.
And when he accepts the charges for this gun, for the illegal weapons charge, and basically accepts a 20-year sentence for that, now Shara's really worried that he's going to testify against her in her murder trial. And she goes ahead and takes a plea deal, which is fucking bullshit. Like, she got off way too easy in this one, in my opinion.
Yes, she did. And her taking the plea deal just tells you everything you need to know as well.
Yeah. Because she didn't want to go to trial. Why didn't she want to go to trial?
Right.
Because the truth would have been outed.
Exactly.
So after Shara and her lawyers learned about the plea deal that Billy Turner was taking, her lawyers worried that Turner would strike a plea deal, and he did. And in the Wright murder case, to testify against her lawyer said, we told her if Billy testifies against you, it's going to be disastrous. So on July 25th, 2019, Shara agreed to a plea deal, pleading guilty to the facilitation of first-degree murder. Prosecutors agreed to a lesser sentence of 30 years in prison for parole, with parole eligibility for which she could be released as early as 2026. So she only had to serve a third of the 30 years before she'd be eligible for parole.
Right.
So 10 years for facilitating, quote unquote, the murder of her husband and father of her 6 children, which is just despicable, in my opinion. It makes it so much worse. You have 6 kids with this man.
Right.
He's an important figure in the 6 children you have in their lives.
Yes.
A big, one of the hardest things to replace is a father figure for your children. And he was, by all accounts, a great dad.
Yes, he was.
And you take him out of this for money.
I mean, even
disgusting.
Even when he moved out of Memphis, he was constantly going back and forth to Memphis to be there for the kids, for games and dance recitals and this and that. I mean, that's how she lured him back in there in the first place, was the kids.
Yep.
Think about it. He was there for
And
him.
speaking of the kids, the hardest part and the most heart-wrenching part of this whole story, without a doubt for me, was after she accepts the facilitation of murder charge in the courtroom. The court gave Lorenzen's mother a chance to speak.
Yeah.
And she'd been holding her tongue through this whole thing. She had an outburst early on in the trial. And she was warned by the judge to, keep quiet or else she would be removed from the court. And she was holding her tongue. And now she knows she was right all along. She's been telling everybody that Shara did this, and now she's justified. And everybody was waiting for what is she going to say when she gets her chance to turn, look at Shara after it's been proven that she made this happen. What is she going to say? And it surprised everyone. It definitely surprised me.
No doubt.
How she handled it. And it was so sad because all she wanted to do was plead with Shara to see her grandkids.
And I get that.
Rather than lay into her.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that's so honorable to see that. Like, that is a character trait that I love in people. And it's people who, we've talked about this before, Lauren, but it's people who recognize the situation they're in and they're like, how do I make this better now? And she's going, I've already lost my son. This woman is going to prison. She's going to pay for a part of it, and whether it be enough or not, whatever. But the only thing she cares about now is the relationship she can have with her grandkids. She's looking forward. She's moving forward with her life. She's moving on and trying to make the best of it, which is, it takes a big person, especially a person, to do that instantly while you're still in court with your son's killer. And she's already going, my son is gone, and this is what he would want. He would want his children to have a good relationship with his mother and his father and his family, and that's what I want. And most of these kids were adults at the time.
It was amazing. The first thing she said to her was actually, thank you. She said, I want to say thank you for my grandchildren.
Yeah.
And that was the last thing anyone expected, because she had this vitriol in her heart for this woman who took her son from her. But she had already been not being able to see her grandchildren, because since Lorenzen was murdered and she had been speaking publicly about how she believed Shara had played a role in it.
Right.
Shara had cut off her ability to see her grandkids, and I'm sure had been speaking badly about Lorenzen's mother.
Right.
And so she was like, I miss when my grandkids used to call me. I want that to happen. I want them to still have family in their lives after you're in prison and Lorenzen's gone. I want to be in their lives every day. And I beg of you to tell them to call me, You know, they're obviously, like you said, most of them were adults at this point, so it's really on them whether they want to or not. But sadly, they stuck, and it's understandable. It's their mom. They stuck with Shara. They believed in her innocence and stood by her side. I don't know how that's aged. I don't know if at this point maybe they're hopefully talking to Deborah.
I wonder if they've read her book.
Yeah.
You know,
Man,
because
a lot of I mean, hopefully they watch some of this stuff that's out there and they, you know, start to see a different side of their mother that they didn't see and see what she really was.
Well, if anybody knows that book is truly fiction or not, it would be those kids. I mean, they lived with them. They know the relationship.
Yeah.
They've seen the dynamic between their parents, and they could really put an end to a lot of the.
That might be the missing link. Is some of the kids coming out and speaking out whether Lorenzen had been physically abusive or not, whether, you know, some of the stuff that she says in this book was legit or not.
Yeah, they could.
So.
But I understand at the same time, you know, all you have left is your mother. Your father's gone. There's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can say about your mother or their relationship that's going to bring him back. So as a child or even as an adult, you don't want to lose both of your parents. You know, and right now they're thinking if we just keep our mouth shut and just go on with life, our mom will be out in less than 10 years and we can be reunited and carry on with our life and move forward. You know, I mean, that's
right.
That's a hard way to think about it, especially if in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, did mom kill dad? You know?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And if they love her and they don't want to lose that support, they get stick by her.
That's right.
Yeah. Stick by her.
All right.
So that's the case.
Well, I want to talk about sticking by your armpits. Oh my God.
Sticking by your armpits. That's right. And don't stick by your.
What a segue.
Yeah, that was real good, man. That was real smooth. Almost as smooth as Oh My Gaia goes in your armpits, right?
That's right.
Oh My Gaia is an innovative, all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. Their innovative line of deodorants inhibit the growth of odor-causing bacteria while maintaining effectiveness. At Oh My Gaia, they use only all-natural, paraben, and aluminum-free organic ingredients. There's tons of scents to choose from at Oh My Gaia. I'm sure you guys will find something that works for you, from cherry almond, vanilla, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, coconut, dreamsicle, leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle, fireside. And we have our very own scent called True Crime Pine, guys. And there's always new scents being rotated into the shop. Make sure you check those out, and also in oils and beard oils as well. But you can get our...
Yeah, I don't think you mentioned Sailor, which is one of my favorites. Sailor,
yes,
fantastic.
I'm going to have to add that to my list here. But Sailor is a great, and it is now a staple. I think it started out as like a temporary thing, but I know when she sent me samples, me and my wife who stole that scent from me, but we loved it. I was like, yes, Sailor is amazing, as well as Barbershop too. That was another scent.
Oh,
you know, because we've been with Oh My Gaia for so long now, we get to test out the new scents, which is really fun. So we get to see them and smell them and wear them before they even go for sale. But 9 times out of 10, they're home runs, and they're definitely things that get added to the inventory. But
that's right.
Because you guys are True Crime Guys listeners, you can use the word CREEPER, CREEPER, for 15% off your order on ohmygaia.com. That's OHMYGAIA.com, or at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram. Guys, you won't regret it. Time to replace that Speed Stick or that Old Spice aluminum-filled
deodorant. Get that aluminum out of your pits.
Yeah, replace that stuff. Get something good. Get something original. Don't smell like the guy in front of you in line at Walmart. You know, have something different, right?
That's right.
All right.
All right. I want to thank those of you that have gone and taken the time to rate and review the podcast on iTunes this week. I want to say thank you to Lukey Boy 07 in Great Britain.
Right on.
Said great content. Awesome. My number one go-to podcast.
Oh, thank you very much.
Love the Janelle Potter song.
Oh, thank you.
And love the chemistry between you two, but your English accents need a lot of work.
Oh, come on.
All right. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, sorry. That's
I have a cup of tea
Australian
there.
again.
We got another Great Britain one. We got Maddie.
Okay.
Maddie123 in Great Britain said, TCG, best out there. Brilliant podcast listening from England, and it's a great snapshot of America. Even enjoy the mentions of sport. No idea what they're talking about, but they can do no wrong.
I don't know if we're a snapshot of America. I don't know if we can take that kind of responsibility. But thank you. Thank you very much for that. We do our best.
We're on each coast, so we cover the whole land there.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. We are from completely different sides. Been across it a few times.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got Mom5132 in the U.S. said, still listening, 5 stars. Great, good job, guys. And I just ordered from Oh My Gaia. Oh yeah.
Smart decision. Smart decision.
Then we got Randy B in the U.S. said, love it, 5 stars. Love your podcast, great content and voices. Love all the accents. Been binging old episodes, and your audio cuts and skips sometimes and goes up. Yeah, we know we think that's mainly Apple.
Yeah, we don't really know what's going on with that. If you try it,
hasn't been much of a problem lately.
Yeah, if you try it on another platform, it should work fine. I don't know what's up with that.
It was infuriating for me when that was when we were getting nonstop reports of that.
Yes,
and it felt like we were helpless. We're like, we're doing everything the same. We're listening back, and it sounds fine.
Yeah.
But for some reason, some people were experiencing issues with audio skipping around. I don't get it. But
it's so inconsistent. There's nothing you can do about it because of the inconsistency. Even if it was just one app, I feel like we could be like, hey, don't listen to us on such and such. But it's not.
Yeah.
Because somebody will comment and they'll be like, hey, listening on Apple Podcasts skips. And then like 2 people will respond and be like, I was listening on Apple. It was fine. It's fine for me too.
Exactly.
So we can't find any consistency as far as that goes, guys. All I know is maybe re-download the app, maybe resubscribe, or try another podcast player. There's tons out there for no matter what kind of phone you have. Just Google podcast player. There's tons of great ones out there.
Yeah. Then we got Kelson Cameras in the U.S. said, love, 5 stars. Was looking for another true crime podcast to listen to. Found these guys and love them. You guys lighten up the situation with humor, and it's amazing. Keep it up. Thank you, Kelson.
Thank you, Kelson.
We got F the Raiders in the U.S. That's my local town team now, and I don't like them either. So hey, we're on the same page there.
Oh, Las Vegas Raiders! It seems so weird when I watch Raiders games now, and they're like Las Vegas at the 10-yard line. I'm like, what? It just sounds. I don't know. It just still sounds weird to me. I'm still getting used to it, but it's but a beautiful stadium. Oh my God.
Hey, something's magical about Vegas, man. Teams come here and they have instant success. You look at the Golden Knights, what they did in their first few seasons.
And the Raiders are doing
great. And then the Raiders come here and all of a sudden they're good. Like, what?
They're good, man. The stadium, hey, you look good, you play
good.
They're
legitimately good now.
Hey.
Yeah. So yeah, we got F the Raiders says great, says 5 stars and has a case suggestion that we cover Gannon Stock, little boy murdered in Colorado Springs. I won't give too much more about that, but we'll look into that case. Thank you. And then we got Alex Volar in the U.S. said, can't get enough, 5 stars, love the podcast, keep on doing your thing. So thank you. Thank you to everybody who's taking the time to go and do that. Even if you just click 5 stars and throw in some fire emojis, we'll give you a shout out. Or if you just click 5 stars, you won't get a shout out, but we'll still appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more thank you to No Sucka Shit for this case definitely. Suggestion this week. Great case suggestion. So, guys, we do listener suggestions, right? We just can't get them all.
Once in a while.
We just can't do them all. Once in a while. So, don't give up.
Check out our Patreon page where we've done some suggestions over there.
Yes.
We've done many premium episodes. Every 4th episode is a Patreon exclusive. You can only hear it if you go to patreon.com/truecrimeguys. $2 a month gets you access to all of those. Mm-hmm. You get all those basically premium episodes, many of which are 2 to 3 hours long. You get into the drawing. We need to do a giveaway. We keep saying we're going to do it.
This is what we should do, okay? Because the miscommunication between winners and us or people just not responding and telling us, I think what we're going to do is just make the giveaway make it only accessible to $5 and up. So we already have your address, and we'll just send you something. You'll just get something as a surprise from True Crime Guys. Congratulations.
There you go.
That's how we're going to start doing giveaways. So people are just going to start getting surprised with stuff.
Why don't you pull up the $5 patrons right now and scroll through, just let your cursor land on one of them, and we'll pick them right now because we can't do it on Patreon, remember, because we get in trouble.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay.
So pull them up real quick, pick someone, and we'll give something away to somebody. And they'll, even if they don't hear this, they're gonna get some merch at their doorstep, and they'll be surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
That's our way of giving back to the patrons because we love you guys and thank you. And so, yeah, for $2 a month, you get access to all those bonus episodes. But for $5 a month, you get our other show, Just the Banter. If you love our banter, if you're one of those people that doesn't want stars for going off topic and rambling about random shit, you'll love our other show called Just the Banter. It's released every Friday. It's just me and Michael shooting the shit. We just get on and we talk about whatever. In our most recent one we just released on Friday, I talked about my recent obsession with the stock market. I talked a little bit about the different stocks I'm invested in and things like that. I'm an obsessive person. I get into something and then I just all I want to talk about for a while.
Yeah.
Usually on Just the Banter, I talk about jiu-jitsu too much because it's what I'm into.
Right.
So We talk about nutrition a lot, just random stuff, just life, kids, parenting, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, that's the $5 tier on that. You get that, and you also get a gold Creep Band sticker, very prestigious. Only a select few people in the world have it.
Right.
And you're in great company if you have that sticker.
Yes, you are. Only way to get it. Only way to get it too. You could send us like $1 million and we won't send you one.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe.
No, you have to be a $5 patron.
Maybe
or $10 patron. $10 patron, you automatically get one too. And also, we're trying to set up a Zoom call for the $10 patron. So if you're currently a $10 and up patron, we want to set up a Zoom call with you guys and just hang out. So it'll be like what class is like, I guess, now in college or,
right.
or school.
Yeah.
We'll be like the teachers, I guess, but we're way dumber.
Yeah, exactly. You won't learn anything from us.
And we'll just hang out. Just hang out with you guys. We'll have a beer with you guys, and whatever you want to ask us or talk to us about, we'll talk to you guys about. And we're trying to set that up.
Yeah.
So
that seems like the best.
Let us know if you're $10
That
patron.
seems like the only option we have right now, as far as I think Zoom has the best quality calls, and then with us being across the country from each other, it's the only way you're going to be able to talk to both of us at the same time. So that kind of set us back. Before, when we would do Skype calls, we would just do it while we're in studio together and sit beside each other and talk to people. It was no big deal. So that's why that perk has kind of fallen to the wayside. It's just trying to organize that and get 3 different people minimum all on the same schedule. It's harder than it sounds, especially in this crazy year of 2020. But
if we just set up a Zoom conference and then whoever shows up that's within the $10 tier, they show up and then we'll hang out with them. If one shows up, then we'll hang out with you. That's what it is.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that works. So I have a winner. I have a winner here for the giveaway for this month.
Wait, drum roll.
Yeah, sure. Drum roll. She is a $5 patron, Amber V. You will be receiving something in the mail from True Crime Guys very soon. I don't know. I'll probably send you something from our new shop, truecrimeguys.threadless.com. Guys, if you haven't checked out our new shop. So when you buy that,
we get a cut back of it. So
that's right. If you guys haven't checked out that new shop, go check it out, truecrimeguys.threadless.com. Lots of cool shit on there with new updated True Crime Guys logos and designs. Some old designs that just got a little twist to them. But the link is below the description. Also, the Redbubble link is still down there, too. If you guys are just like old school OG listeners, you just like the old shit, that's fine, too. You want to get Let's Go Do Cult Shit shirts, hoodies, whatever. All that stuff is still available as well, guys. Redbubble.com. That link is below the description as well.
There you go. Do that. And also, go check out our other show.
Yes.
It's a part of True Crime Guys Productions, Strange and Unexplained.
Strange and Unexplained.
New episodes every week.
That's right. If you like unsolved, missing persons, strange phenomenons, weird cults, definitely check out Strange and Unexplained. New episodes are released every Monday, pretty much like clockwork. I've been giving myself a pat on the back here, but it's because I released them early on Patreon, so it makes it easy to schedule the post for Monday. But that's neither here nor there. But if you're on Patreon for Strange and Unexplained, patreon.com/SandU podcast, you get new episodes on Thursdays instead of Mondays, so you get the Thursday before, and you also get access to 2 other shows that I do, one being Strange Shorts and one being the Palate Cleanser podcast. So lots under the True Crime Guys Productions umbrella, and we just want to keep evolving, guys, and keep bringing you new stuff to listen to. There's also Strange and Unexplained merch available at truecrimeguys.threadless.com as well. So,
all right.
Is that it?
Lots to listen to, lots to support. We appreciate you guys very much. However you support us, just listening to True Crime Guys on the free feed, we love you. Or if you're supporting every show, we love you too. So
that's right.
We'll see you guys next week for another freebie, and that's about it. Keep creeping.
Keep creeping, guys.
True Crime Guys. In the desert, we like a mirage. It's okay if you clicked on us because you thought we was True Crime Garage. Now we ain't mad at you. Sit down, let us talk at you. I'm talking to the creeper army. We out here making murder, get murder, get murder. True Crime Guys. In the desert, we like a mirage. It's okay if you clicked on us because you thought we was True Crime Garage. Now we ain't mad at you. Sit down, let us talk at you. I'm talking to the creeper army. We out here making murder charming.